Today's video is a bit of a rehash in the sense that I already did a video review on the Phanteks Enthoo Evolve ITX case, but this is the special edition version of it. What's different? The color. That's it. It comes in two different stylish color options. You have this one, the black red. Black outside, red on the inside. You also have a white black version of it, white on the outside and black on the inside. So depending upon what you are doing or the colors that you like, maybe you're building an AMD gaming rig. This would be perfect for that, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're going for style and clean looks. In that case, maybe you prefer the white black model. Before I spin up the video review, let's have a closer look at the special edition color options. They did not send me the white-black model, only this one, the black-red model. I will be showing you pictures, though, of the white-black version of it. But first, let's have a closer look at this particular model. Again, mostly black on the outside. The mesh ventilation at the top is red. That's quite nice. And the expansion slots at the back are red. And the interior is red. I don't think there's any mistaking that this particular model screams bold, aggressive styling in comparison to the white-black version. And let's have a look at that one now. Now, this is a clear example of how color transforms. As a matter of fact, it kind of looks like a different model altogether. It isn't, of course. It's just the color. White on the outside with some black mesh accents at the top for ventilation and a black interior. If you're going for a very clean, sexy, calming, stylish case, then I think this would probably be the one that you'd want. Okay, so now on with the video review. It comes packaged between two pieces of styrofoam and the case itself is in a plastic bag. There's two different versions of this case. There's one with the window and without. Now if you're thinking that this is exactly the same except a smaller version of the Evolve, you'd be wrong. In some cases it is, and in others it isn't. They have, well, gone a little bit on the affordable side with this particular case to keep the cost down. The main difference here is that a lot of the panels aren't so easy to remove. They are not aluminum, rather steel and plastic. That might disappoint some, but I thought I'd throw that out there so you know right at the beginning. So at the front here you've got a panel. It has an LED on the bottom. This is a power LED. This panel pops right off like so. It has these steel mounts which are very, very secure, but again you've got a combination here of plastic and steel, not aluminum. Got large, humongous dust filter, and they include a massive 200mm intake fan. Optionally, you can install up to two 120mm fans or two 140mm fans as well at the front. There's radiator options anywhere from 120 all the way up to 240. And since the front fan or fans will be intaking air, you'll need ventilation. That's not a problem. They have ventilation on either side as well as at the bottom. Now this is very convenient. They have the power button right at the top. At the top front is the reset button, two USB 3 ports, as well as the audio jacks. Also at the top, ventilation along each side. Now while we're up here, have a look at the build quality. Quite good, but notice that there's a slight color difference between the painted steel and the plastic, and of course that's to be expected. There's a nice tinted window on the left side panel, but the right side panel is plain. At the top back of the case there's extra ventilation. Here's where you would install the motherboard's I/O shield plate, and you can install optionally either one 120mm or one 140mm fan. Note the rails here for the screws to slide up and down if you need to adjust it. Alternatively, of course, you could put a radiator back here, extra ventilation here, and some extra ventilation also here. Speaking of ventilation, they include two ventilated expansion slots, and at the bottom is where you would install a standard ATX power supply. As well, they include a removable dust filter for the power supply's intake fan. As well, you've got 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel, and each of these thumb screws comes with a rubber washer, and that's for a few reasons. The main one, though, is to prevent the thumb screw from damaging, the panel, the paint on the panel. Also, it cuts down on vibrations. Now, before I have a look on the inside of the case, let's go through the dimensions. It's 230 by 375 by 395 millimeters, and it weighs in a pretty lightweight 5.4 kilograms. Now, let me remove the left side panel. The right side panel comes off pretty much the same way. Does it pop? Does it hinge? No, it does not do anything revolutionary, just like any other pretty much plain Jane case. Slide back, and it comes off. Yes, I know. That is just a little bit disappointing. This case fits many ITX form factor motherboards. You can see that they have a large hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate, plus rubber grommeted holes to route the cables behind the motherboard tray. And there is 28 millimeters of space behind the motherboard tray and the right side panel. Get those cables out of the inside of the case and put them back there. It looks good. It will also increase airflow inside of the case. Now, you're probably wondering, where do you install drives in this case? Well, trust me, there's provision for 2 3.5-inch drives or 1 2.5-inch drive, but you can get a 2.5-inch or a 3.5-inch bracket and mount another 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drive at the top right here. Now, what's this, you might ask? Well, this is where the video card gets tucked away. They have a couple of thumb screws right here, and what it does is basically hide the power for the video card. That's pretty neat. On the bottom, they've got 4 rubber rests for the power supply to lodge on, and again, a little shroud right here covering all those messy leads. So what about video card length and cooler height? Well, it's pretty darn impressive. You can have a video card that is up to 330 millimeters in length and a cooler that is up to 200 millimeters high. As well, there's lots of ventilation here, and that's to allow the video card's fans to do their job and intake cool air. If they did not have ventilation right here, of course, it would block the video card fans. At the top of the case, optionally, you can install up to 2 120 or 2 140 millimeter fans, as well radiators anywhere from 120 all the way up to a 280. How? Well, there's 4 screws. 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. You will need to remove those, and then this slides right out and you can mount the fans or radiator up here. Okay, so let's have a look behind the motherboard tray. Again, plenty of space back here to route the cables, all kinds of rubber grommeted holes. Now, here is where you would install the drives. You can install 2 3.5-inch drives at the bottom. They have 2 plastic drive rails. Just basically pop the drive in and then slide this right back into position, like so. And they have a little bracket here for installing a 2.5-inch drive. And like the 3.5-inch drive bracket that you can use on the inside of the case, this one installs the same way. You just would have to, in this case, remove it, install the drive on it, and then go ahead and slide it back in. There are 4 rubber posts here. You need to kind of line it up and push it down. And you can actually install 2.5-inch drives on these, so in fact you can have a total of up to 3 2.5-inch drives in this case. And note the Velcro ties that they do include for organizing the cables. They have 2 of them, one here and another one at the very top. Now, this drive cage at the bottom can actually be removed. Why would you want to remove it? Well, you know, people who want to do water cooling could fit a pump down here with the pump bracket. Nifty. So what about power supply length? Well, with the drive cage installed at the bottom, you can fit a power supply that's around 190 millimeters in length. That will give you some provision behind it and the drive cage to, tuck those cables where you need to. If you remove the drive cage, though, you can have a power supply, well, that's around 320 millimeters in length. As for accessories, they include a quick installation guide, and the bag that has 4 plastic cable ties as well as regular screws and thumb screws. At the bottom of the case they include 4 rather sticky rubber feet, so if you're putting the case on your desk it will certainly securely stay in place. The feet are pretty tall, and that's a good thing, especially if you're putting the case on a soft surface like carpet, because what it will do is allow the bottom power supply intake fan to do its job and intake cool air. Finally, have a listen to the stock cooling, which is one 200mm intake fan at the front of the case, and I'll tell you right now, it is really quiet. So the big question here is, does the Evolve ITX live up to the Evolve? Well, yes and no. First of all, the Evolve, well, has all aluminum panels. It is quality from the top to the bottom. This is a cheaper, smaller version. It's an affordable option, really, that gives you all kinds of features, water cooling potential, and so on. Very impressive case, but it doesn't have the look and the feel and the functionality of the Evolve. That being said though, this is an impressive ITX case, one of the best on the market. Overall, this is a kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.